Well, good afternoon, everyone. We're just before 2 o'clock Eastern, so I'm going to give everyone just another minute or two to get dialed in, and then we'll get started. All right, it looks like we're right at the top of the hour. We have a call today chock full of ton of information, so we want to make sure we have enough time for everything. Thank you again to everyone for joining us for our last partner networking call of 2018. It has been a very good year as far as, things at NHPCO and with We Honor Veterans. It's been very busy, full of activities, and we're just so grateful that all of you are here to join us as everything sort of starts to shut down a little bit for the holiday season. But we did want to give you a couple of updates from NHPCO and We Honor Veterans as well. But then we do again have a few speakers that we're very grateful will be joining us today. So today we'll be joined by Trellis Supportive Care, a We Honor Veterans Hospice Partner Level 4. So they are actually super engaged in their community and are really accustomed to holding not only vet-to-vet cafes, but other events on really large scales. So they're going to give some event planning tips and talk about their involvement in their community and sort of give some practical tips from that standpoint. We are also very thankful to have with us Hospice of the Chesapeake, who is actually part of the Level 5 pilot program. They as well are super engaged in their community, and they really have sort of perfected the art of reaching out to different audiences, including the youngsters. So they're going to talk a little bit about some of the activities they're doing as well. We are also very happy to have with us a group from the Vietnam War Commemoration to talk about some practical tips on not only honoring Vietnam vets, but also how to become more involved with their organization as partners. So they're going to give a presentation on that and walk through things. So just first to kind of get out of the way a couple of technical things. Again, we will continue to be using Zoom for our partner networking calls. We've had some really good feedback. It's easy to use, and more than anything, you as participants can kind of keep an eye on what's going on, and please take advantage of the chat box. So if you do have any questions, any comments, something you want us to get to later, something you think is important for us to bring up on the call now, feel free to put it in the webinar chat. If you hover over the bar at the bottom of your screen, you will see a little box that just says chat, and it'll pop up. You're welcome to say, just say hello to all of your fellow participants, or you can send a chat just specifically to panelists, and it will only be seen by us. So whichever one you prefer, we want to make sure that you all do stay engaged throughout the call. And as always, this call will be recorded and posted on the We Honor Veterans website following. Just in case you missed it, or you want to go back and re-listen, it'll be available for on-demand viewing as well. So today we will have a couple of visuals. Our speakers will be presenting PowerPoints, and I'll just be showing a few things on our website. So if you have the chance, maybe if you're not looking at it on your computer screen, feel free to log in right now as well. Okay, so without further ado, want to go ahead and get started. So I know that one thing that we have been gearing up for a very long time for, and many of you are very excited to hear more about, is Level 5. So it is true. Level 5 has finally come to fruition. We are very thankful, again, to have Hospice of the Chesapeake, who is a part of our Level 5 pilot group, on our call right now. We do also just want to give a quick shout out to some of our other Level 5 partners that were part of the initial pilot group. So again, we've spoken about this a little bit. This started sort of discussions over a year ago. Many Level 4 partners have come to us with the question, what happens after Level 4? Nothing needs to be submitted. How are people being held accountable? And more importantly, what more can we be doing as an organization to continue to develop our veterans-focused activities? So with that in mind, we have been working over the past year with a small group of hospice partners. So these were Level 4 partners from, a big array of backgrounds, nonprofit, for-profit, your larger organizations, as well as, your one-off mom and pop hospices. We also were really strategic about how we picked these partners geographically. We wanted to make sure that they were spread out across the U.S. so that we really were getting a good, diverse group of folks. So with that, over the last year, again, our partners have been in discussions with us constantly through phone calls, working on their own activities to craft and finalize the Level 5 activities. So as of right now, if you go to the We Honor Veterans website, and I will pull this up. Here we go. If you go to the We Honor Veterans website, on the home page under announcements, you will see Level 5 overview and activities. So if you simply click on there, there's a little bit of more information. Now, this isn't typically what you see as far as your activity submission process. And we did this on purpose. Again, the Level 5 activities, while many of them are similar to, the things that you've been working on for your other levels, a lot of them are different. So the submissions process will be different. While a lot of your activities are going to be the same in the realm of continuing staff education, there will be other things that you will be more involved with that really you can't just fill in a blank to submit them. So we really wanted to make sure that something was different. So your Level 5 overview and activities, again, they're going to involve a little more work. One of the main things as a requirement is more involvement in your community activities. For example, one of the requirements is that you hold a Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans Day celebration. Another thing is further involvement with your hospice veteran partnership. Another big aspect of being Level 5 is that you are committing to being a regional mentor. So this in no way means, that you will be taking over the We Honor Veterans work. Not at all. We just want to make sure that partners in your area have someone that they can call on and reach out to in case they have any questions or just if they get stuck. Of course, the We Honor Veterans team here at NHPCO will always be available to help people out and to give them the support that they need. But we also think that it's really important to have a fellow hospice partner available as some guidance and support in any way that you need. All right, so the big question, how do I sign up as a level 5 partner? What is involved? To get signed up, all you have to do is send an email to the We Honor Veterans team at veterans@nhpco.org. And we're asking you for the following info. So your organization's name, your partner contact, again, this is who we're going to be connecting with and checking in with, and who will be submitting your activities. We want to make sure that we have the correct person on file because, again, at the end of the year, this is the person who will be listed as a mentor on the We Honor Veterans Partner Directory. Also, your unique identifier. We want to make sure that we have the correct organization listed, and we also want to, of course, double check to make sure that you have completed level 4. And again, we're going to be asking for what you have on file as far as your level 4 completion date. We also want to confirm your hospice organization. We have had some questions as far as larger organizations go, and this is going to be the same as all of your other levels. Each individual site, physical address, and location needs to sign up as an individual partner and needs to make the commitment as far as level 5 activities go. So we really do just want to confirm that. And I know that a few people have asked, well, why not just post all of the activities online? While we, of course, completely believe in transparency and that you should know what you're getting into, we also don't want folks at different levels or that are maybe just getting into the program peeking ahead to see what's coming up. We sort of think that that's counterproductive. So again, all we're asking for is that you're making the commitment to say, you know what, as a level 4 partner, I'm going to make an effort and try to complete my level 5 activities. Once you submit this email and we can confirm you, you will get an outline of all of the requirements. And again, they are laid out for you. And if you have any questions, you're free to reach out to us as well. One other thing I wanted to point on, again, this level 5 actually started because once you reach level 4, you're not required to submit anything anymore. So with level 5, things are a little bit different. So you are making the commitment to become a level 5 partner. Say you make that commitment today. Today is December 19th, 2018. You have a year to complete your activities. So you have until December 19th, 2019 to complete your activities. This is going to be an ongoing process. Again, one of the requirements does include data collection, and we want as much as possible. So you will be submitting all of your activities after the final year. Once those are submitted and they have been approved by the We Honor Veterans team, you will receive a level 5 certificate that says that you are certified for the next year. If you want to keep that certification up, you need to continue to do the activities again year after year. So again, this is not a one and done thing. Once you submit those activities, you will be certified for a year and you will be kept up on our website as such. So by the end of the week, we will have, I know many of you utilize our partnership directory. We will have the level 5 partners that have already completed their activities that were part of the pilot group. Their contact information will be up on our website. So again, please utilize these folks as mentors. That's what they're here for. They love speaking about the program, sharing resources, and we really do want you to utilize them as much as possible. Again, right now we just have a list of the organizations, but they will be up on our partnership directory by the end of the week. So with that, I think that covers most things. Again, if you have any questions, keep them coming into the chat box and we'll be happy to answer them at the end of the call if we have time. Otherwise, we're happy to reach out individually or give us a call and we'll answer as we can. But we did just want to make sure that we gave a good overview of that. And again, of course, give a shout out to the level 5 pilot partners. We really do appreciate all the time that they took to put into this and to help us craft this. And we really do hope they know how grateful we are for all of their continued support. Okay, so moving on from level 5, just a couple of other quick things. friendly reminder to partners, please fill out our end of the year survey. This is up right now. It is live. Em is going to post the link in the chat box to send it out to all participants. If you haven't done so already, please complete the survey. It takes less than 10 minutes, but it really is a big help to us. Not only to us, but to our friends in the VA as well. We have a couple of different questions on there this time. We want to know what your relationship is like with the staff at your local VA facility. And aside from that, we're asking you for your zip code. You know, again, this is really helpful with providing information and looking at things regionally and geographically to see where things can be improved. Another big addition that we have this year is we are going to be doing a pilot project focused on including focus groups over the next year to create resources and a list of protocols to better serve Vietnam era and combat veterans. So this is in the very early stages. We will be reaching out to partners over the next year if you do want to participate in these focus groups. Again, please let us know. We really appreciate your help. And again, we will be looking to our partners to support us with that. But one thing is that starting out at the beginning of the year, we want to know what resources you have right now and what is in place as far as intake and what you are doing to educate your staff as far as caring for those Vietnam era and combat veterans. So this will really give us a good baseline to go off of, and we'll be asking the same questions over the next years. So again, we really do appreciate you taking the time to fill that survey out. One other quick practicality, the NHPCO offices will be closed as of this Friday and will remain closed until January 2nd. So please keep in mind if you are submitting any activity reports or just sort of general questions, it will take some time for us to respond to them. Our team will be monitoring the inbox in case any urgent comes up. Please let us know if there is something that is an emergency or really needs to be dealt with now, and we will respond to that. We'll be sure to take care of that. Okay, well, without further ado, I did want to hand it over to Em and also give her a moment to introduce herself. I know that many of you have worked with Hope Foss in the past. She has been our wonderful We Honor Veterans program coordinator. Unfortunately, we have lost her, but only internally to Judy Lund-Person. Quality and regulatory has snatched her, so she's still in the building and still part of the NHPCO family, but we're very thankful to have Em Marge joining us now. So she's going to talk a little bit about herself, but then also give an overview on social media and some of the work that she is doing here at NHPCO.
Hi everyone, my name is Emily. It's nice to meet everybody on the phone. I hope everyone's enjoying their Wednesday. So a little bit about me. I just started here in October, and feel free to always send us an email at Veterans Inbox, or you can send it to my personal email, emarge@nhpco.org. I respond, so don't worry about that. So today, Catherine asked me to talk about what we're doing on social media. So I'm going to pull up a little presentation I have. There you go. And so when I came here, We Honor Veterans already had a Twitter page, and I figured we can reach more partners and get interactive and get more story submissions that way as well. So here's an introduction into Social Media Outreach 101. Okay, this is what Twitter has to offer. It offers an easy access to get your hospice known at a local, state, and national level. You can interact with other hospices using the hashtag We Honor Veterans, or hashtag NHPCO, or even just hashtag hospice. You can monitor what is trending and you can engage in it. You can see that like hashtag Tuesday motivations, and you can put a little quote about how your We Honor Veterans team is doing something to motivate veterans in your facilities. You can also get free analytics and see how your followers are increasing, and you can see what people are clicking on, and it's for free. Here's some examples of what We Are Veterans tweets about. So we say, what are some of your memorable moments you have with veterans at your hospice? Share your story. It's never too late to give a veterans a hero's welcome home, and that can be part of the trending national pages. So every time someone clicks on the Tuesday thought, it goes international. This is an example of a free tool Twitter has to offer. You can see over a 28-day summary. You can see what your top tweet was for the month of November, your top mentioned tweet, and you can see how many followers have you increased that month. You can see how many tweets you got each month, how many impressions, profile visits, mentions, and followers. Around October, I wanted to start an initiative called We Honor Wednesdays. So you get to honor veterans in care, veterans on staff, family members, just to honor them any way you can. You can get creative, use various editing tools for your pictures, PowerPoint, Adobe Photoshop. Even you can use a pic collage on your phone if you have the app for it. You can add a story, even add a video if you want to. And you can tag us at We Honor Veterans or hashtag We Honor Wednesdays. Here are two examples. On the right, example of my grandfather. And you can see it's a quick little, under 140 characters, with various hashtags and everything, and a cute little photo. And this is one of our NHPCO staff members who has been serving the Marines. You can get creative. You can even add the We Honor Veterans logo on the side if you want as well. Anyone have any questions? Thank you, Catherine.
All right, well, thanks. And again, we do just want to remind our folks how important social media is. We're constantly asking people to submit their stories and their photos, but we really can't say what a great tool this is for your own team and your organization marketing purposes as well. We know that, not everyone is comfortable or familiar with Twitter. However, if you would like to be more so, or you just need some help to get your creative juices flowing, reach out to Em. She loves it. She loves, creating collages and getting people more involved on Twitter, because again, we want to share your stories, and we can't say, what a boon it is to your organization to highlight all of the wonderful activities that you all are doing. So thanks again for that. Okay, well, let's see. First off, again, we are very grateful to have with us Trellis Supportive Care. Todd Clark works really closely with their larger scale events, including Bet to Bet Cafe. So we're very grateful that he will be joining us today. And he will be giving just a short presentation on how to involve your organizations more in different community happenings. So let's see. So I am pulling this up right now. Apologies for the delay. All right, here we go. Without further ado, Todd, if you're ready.
Okay, thank you. It's an honor to be here today, and I'll look forward to presenting on our veterans program. Trellis Supportive Care was formerly known as Hospice and Palliative Care Center. We went through a rebranding about 3 months ago, so this may be a new name, but it's the same organization that it's always been. So we're tickled to be here. Thanks for the invite to come and present. So I'll jump right in. I know we have a robust agenda today. On the next slide, you'll see I'll start out with just some basic history and the environment that we're working in here in North Carolina. In North Carolina, 1 out of every 4 hospice patients are veterans. We have a really large veteran population that's been integrated in North Carolina. We have 2 military bases. Camp Lejeune is a Marine training base in Jacksonville, North Carolina, which is near the coast. And then Fort Bragg is an Army base that is about an hour and a half away from the coast. And that brings in a lot of veteran activity, and folks like to settle here. We're the 3rd most populated state for senior veterans. So as we went through and started looking at some of this data, well, we knew we had an opportunity there with our veteran population. In North Carolina, non-veteran adults that are seniors are around 18%, but 45% of veteran adults are seniors. So there again, we knew we had an opportunity there to reach out to them and coordinate some efforts with this population in North Carolina. So we started our veterans program in January of 2015, so we're approaching our 5th year. We have some 5-year anniversary celebrations that we're planning for next year, so we're excited about that. And then we achieved 4-star status in 2017. And on the next slide, it basically started with veterans, what we call veteran coffees. And the veteran coffees, if you'll advance to the next slide, I think it has the information on there. We started very local, and I should probably put down there as a bullet point, we hired a Vietnam veteran with a background in event planning and fundraising. So that was a great combination for us to hire someone with that diverse skill set. And what we initially did was we started local in organizing just groups in local community spaces, so restaurants at Outback and Longhorn Steakhouse and PDQ and places like that. We have some racing venues in North Carolina. There's Richard Childress Racing and Stuart Haas Racing. So they have cafeterias and meeting halls where we meet. But basically, we just started, by the way, we cover 13 counties in our catchment area. So we tried to find some very familiar local spaces that everybody knew where we could hold what we call a veterans coffee. And our coordinator, Don Timmons, he basically put the word out in the beginning to the veterans that he knew in the community and just said, hey, we're going to provide coffee and donuts, come and just have a very low-key kind of meet and greet where you get to know other veterans and learn about resources that are available to veterans. So we started out with the coffees. We now do about 8 coffees a month, and we usually have anywhere from 20 to 200 in attendance. And of course, I'll tell you, once we started the coffees, we had a sign-in sheet. We got their email when they came in, and so we are continuing to let them know what's next through the email system. They've attended one coffee, so then we let them know what's the next one. If we ever start a new one in another area, we let them know about that so they can see what's coming. But our first goal was just to create a space for veterans to experience a supportive community together. And they have that in other places. But what we wanted to do is we also wanted to invite other partners in to present pertinent information to veterans. So it became a place that was known for having some food where other veterans can come and share with each other, and then invite other community resources in to give information to veterans. So I've listed there some of the partners that we have. There's a much longer list than that, but we have a very robust Goodwill Veterans Program in North Carolina. The USO comes in, AARP Veterans Program, the VA, of course, and then Wake Forest University, they have an elder law program that comes in and helps with document completion for veterans. And so we invite other partners in like this to just kind of talk about their program and to give information out to veterans to let them know what's available to them, of course, within the VA, but also outside of the VA as well. And at those coffees, Don, he does a great job of doing special recognitions at the coffees. So, this year is the 50-year anniversary for Vietnam veterans, so we're always making sure that we have pins available and ready for those 50-year pins to hand out. We always make sure we recognize World War II veterans. They're usually in their 90s and they're centurions now, or centurions. So we want to make sure we recognize them while they're at our events. And then if there's any Gold Star family members and other recognitions, we just make sure we always recognize them at our coffees. So this is really the heartbeat of what we're doing. Everything comes from the coffees. We kind of believed that we needed to start local and start small before we did anything larger. So if you'll go to the next slide, I wanted to also mention that at these coffees, we do highlight the customized care that we give to veterans at Trellis Supportive Care. So we really think that, you know, it's important too that there is some ROI back to the organization that's hosting these events, because veterans deserve specialized care for the unique medical and emotional needs that they have. And so we want to let them know about that. And I won't go through all 4 points, but you'll kind of see there, we do specialized training with our staff to develop awareness and recognition of the unique medical needs that veterans have. We let veterans know that we understand that there are era-specific medical and emotional needs depending on the particular environment that they were exposed to while they were serving. And then we let them know about the master's level licensed counselors that are trained in EMDR therapy and can address PTSD, depression, and anxiety for psychological conditions. And then we also at that time recognize other events that we do at the coffees. So, you know, I would not hesitate to let because the veterans are looking for, what we found is that they're really looking for organizations that zero in and customize care based on their unique needs. So we always want to let them know about that. On the next slide, I'll talk about some of the larger events that we do. This is an example of some of the events, I think most of the events that we've done since 2015. So we started out in 2015 doing we did 2 World War II events where we honored World War II veterans. Of course, all veterans are welcome to come to the event, but we honored the World War II veterans. And we had a little over 450 and 650 veterans at those events. We did a Korean War event in 2016, and then we did 2 Vietnam veteran events where we had over 900 participants in both of those locations. And then this year we did a specific event saluting women veterans. And just to tell you a little bit about those events, we really, as you can tell, we waited to do the big events until we really saturated our market with the smaller local coffees first. So we built that network and did the hard work of building trust with veterans first and let them know that we are going to provide, be a resource information to them and a caregiving resource for them before we started trying to do larger events. But these larger events, some of the unique things about these events is that we always have a special keynote speaker. I probably should have put this in the slide, but here's just a list of some of the things that we do at the larger events. We make sure that we have a special keynote speaker. So say, for instance, at the Saluting Women's event, we had Jan Edmonds, who is a Major General in the U.S. Army. She's retired and in Washington, D.C. We brought her in to be a special speaker. We had her, she was actually introduced by a retired Army Captain, Leslie Smith, who was an ambassador for the Gary Sinise Foundation. So we kind of upped our game a little bit and wanted to have some higher level keynote speakers, for these types of events. So that's one must, that we always have for these events. We also, the second thing is we choose a little bit more upscale facility where we have a full meal and it's, it's basically a full dining experience in a more upscale facility. The third thing is we usually invite in a local celebrity to host the event. And we're talking about, like a local newscaster, or if you have some, local actor that you can reach out to who might be willing to sponsor their time and host an event, or actress, we try to have a local celebrity host the event. And then we just have a full agenda of usually music, recognitions, special recognitions, and so forth, where we try not to make the event too lengthy, but we try to put in a lot of stuff that's very meaningful, a lot of experiences that are meaningful to veterans. And basically, it starts with a budget. I mean, we kind of decide what all we want to do at the event, where we want to have it, what kind of food, who's going to be there, what the cost is going to be for everything we want to do. And then we take that budget, and Don, our coordinator, does a great job of going around to business and industry and basically meets with their philanthropy departments and asks to sponsor the event. And I will tell you, so far, we have a bottom line that is in the positive for these events. I can't say that every single large event was in the black, but overall our budget, is in the black, and we have room to spare financially from all the events that we've done. So most all the events came out to the positive financially, and it's just amazing that once that ball gets rolling, organizations want to be on board, and they want to be a sponsor, and they want to be seen as sponsoring this event. So if you'll go to the next slide. We also do individual recognition events, or I don't know if event is the right word, but we do individual recognition experiences with veterans as well. So this is a more intimate experience with just the veteran and their immediate or extended family and friends, where that has more of a personal touch. So we do individual pinnings, and then we do group recognition. So I put the order of the ceremony underneath that. So what it kind of looks like is when we do an individual pinning, we may get called to a facility where we have a patient, and they may say, hey, we have a veteran here, can you do an individual pinning? And this is one of your patients. So we will come there, they will let us know that it's, what the information is about the veteran, when they served, how long they served, what their role was. And then we have a little order of ceremony that we do where the staff usually calls in the family ahead of time, and we just recognize them as a veteran. And it's usually done in their room. It's usually done at bedside. We'll go to homes and do this. We'll go to our inpatient facility and do this. We'll go to nursing homes. And it's just where we create a moment of recognition for veterans. And then we also go to other facilities and do group recognition. So they may say, we have, a group of 10 or 12 veterans. Can we do something special for them? And it's kind of the same routine where we put them together in a meeting hall or the cafeteria or something. They decorate it, they invite family and friends in, and then we have kind of an order of ceremony where we recognize the veterans at that particular facility. And the next slide basically just is an example of some of the partner organizations that we've reached out to that have helped us with sponsoring our events. And again, I won't read through all these, but when we have a large event, we basically have reached out to organizations like these and just let them know what our budget is and ask them if they will sponsor a particular line item in our budget. And we've just had very good responses from those organizations. And we're kind of learning which organizations are looking to sponsor veterans services and programs. So after going into our 5th year, we kind of have a good handle, at least in the state of North Carolina, who is favorable to sponsoring those types of events, and that helps keep the ball rolling. It's kind of at the point now too where our veterans coffees, we have other restaurants that will sponsor the coffee and donuts now as well. So like for instance, Krispy Kreme donuts and Sheetz gas station, which is a chain in the southeast, on the southeast coast. They serve coffee and donuts, and now they just provide them on a regular basis. And so after developing those relationships, these are things that they like to do. I know that's a lot of information really quickly. I was trying not to take a whole lot of time, but that's basically what our program is about. We're looking forward to getting involved in the Level 5 opportunity as well, and I just want to thank you all for having us and letting us present.
Well, thank you again for joining us. I know we did have just a couple of really quick questions for you. One partner asked, as far as fundraising goes, so, we're assuming this is something you do in preparation, but aside from that, do you charge a fee or charge people for tickets to enter the event?
That's a great question. We do not charge the veterans, but there have been some events where we have not had to charge anyone. but there are some events where we had to charge family members or friends who come, but we never charge the veterans.
Okay.
And that, that fee depends on, our budget and what we can do and what kind of donations we're receiving. But I would say the past at least three major events, we have charged the family and friends who come, but not the veterans.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. So one other question we had from the audience, we know that often, the people who do end up being the point of contact for We Honor Veterans are sometimes stretched thin, or sometimes are the volunteer coordinators, or wearing various hats. So someone asked if Don Timmons specifically, is he just staff dedicated to We Honor Veterans? Is this something that is comprised of, do you need someone full-time for this, basically?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Don is the full-time veterans coordinator. So he does coordinate all of the activity, or all of the, he does do the planning and coordinates the fundraising and the volunteer help. In terms of the volunteer help, we do have a separate volunteer department that we call on that helps us at the events. But I will tell you, with the partner organizations that we have now, one of the things that we're asking them for is volunteers. So I'll give you an example. American Airlines has been very, very good about this. They will send 10 or 12 volunteers on the day of an event, and they will just say, put us to work. Where do you want us, and what do you want us to do? So we now have about, I'd say, a half a dozen organizations now that will send, 4 or 5 or 10 volunteers, whatever we need, to an event. And of course, we coordinate that ahead of time. We want to know how many are coming and all of that. But, organizations or business and industry are looking for ways to give back to their community, and we kind of encourage them that this is one way they can do it. So we've never been short on volunteers because of that. But in the case that we do, we don't get a lot of volunteers from outside of our organization. We do have some folks within our organization, I'd say about 8 or 9 folks that do help out as well.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, again, thank you so much for this overview. I know that it really was helpful. I know there's still a couple of questions coming in, but again, if you have any, we'll be happy to answer them offline or post them on the website following the recording. But I know that we're just a little bit behind schedule, so wanted to go ahead and make sure that the other speakers have time. But thank you again so much for joining us, and I know partners really appreciated the time that you spent here, as well as the helpful tools as far as event planning goes.
The pleasure's all mine. Feel free to email me any questions you'd like, and I'll be glad to respond back.
Wonderful. Okay, so next we have our friends from Hospice of the Chesapeake speaking a little bit about community engagement and maybe, again, getting some different audiences involved in your honor and pinning ceremonies.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you so much for having us. This is Mary German, Director of Volunteer Services at Hospice of the Chesapeake. And I have with me today Nikki Malatesta, who's our volunteer coordinator, who is a tremendous support to all of our veterans efforts. So she's going to talk to you a little bit more about the specifics. We're located in Maryland, near the Chesapeake Bay, and we operate in 2 counties here. We hover around a census of 500, and we are also close to about 25% of veterans of total patients under our care. So we do a number of things in the community, and focusing on the younger audience is one of those things that we find very valuable from an education and support perspective, starting with the young kids in elementary schools up to we have obviously the Naval Academy very close to us here, and high school students as well. We have a program that we've participated in called Operation Gratitude, and Nikki's going to talk to you a little bit about that. Also in our events, including Veterans Day, our elementary school students have participated in singing, and also our veteran volunteers read to the school kids and talk to them about their personal experience in the military, and that's quite an interactive discussion, as you can probably imagine. So Nikki's going to talk to you a little more about the specifics of each of these things.
Thank you, Mary. So starting with Operation Gratitude, one of the things that we wanted to incorporate into our honor salutes is having cards from kids. And as Mary said, that age range varies. We typically have cards from children who are anywhere in, say, the pre-K age range to, I would say, the academy, because they're one of our partners as well, so college age. How that started was realizing the importance of generational appreciation and really understanding how much it means to veterans and their families to have someone who's young right now appreciate how we are because of those veterans who served prior and even before their birth. So we got our program kicked off with just reaching out to local schools in the area. As Mary said, we serve 2 counties, Anne Arundel and Prince George's, and we just reached out to schools in both counties to see who might be interested in participating and ask them to just make veterans cards and to say thank you. From that, we are able to provide each veteran with typically 2 cards, and you know, they really mean the world to them. I was telling Mary, it started with that and has sort of developed into some other things with them as our partners. When she mentioned having our veterans go to schools to read, we had a partner who was really interested in doing something for Veterans Day, doing it with his classroom. And I think we've been doing it for 4 years now or so, where we go to this particular school and read to the 5th graders. So we have 5 5th grade classes where we bring in at least 5 military volunteers, typically in uniform, and they bring a book. And they read a portion of the book, and then they answer questions and ask questions to get engaged. For example, this year, when we went, I sat in on a classroom where our veteran was reading. He was in his uniform, and one of the girls raised her hand and said, "My grandfather or great-grandfather served during World War II." And our veteran who was there reading said, "Wow, have you thanked him for his service?" And she hadn't. And he said, "You know, I think he would really appreciate you taking the time to say thank you." Those sorts of things get people thinking about their own families' relations with the military and service, and really just get youngsters engaged. One of the other things that we mentioned was the school choir. We have had students come from local schools in past events, specifically for Veterans Day, and sing songs like, they sang "God Bless America," I think, and they've also written letters to our veterans in attendance, thanking them for their service. So those are sort of how we got started and how the program has developed, and it morphs as we go along. I know I reached out to my daughter, who's in middle school. I reached out to her art teacher to see if perhaps they could make us cards, because you can imagine with 2 cards for each veteran, as well as cards at events and activities, we go through a lot of cards. And she said absolutely, and they were on board, and they sent me cards home that same week. And now she's saying, "Hey, can we help you with a banner? Can our school make something for an upcoming event? How can we help you?" And it's really just about starting the partnership and then having someone who has an interest in developing it. And from there, we're open, we're flexible.
So something else to add to that with the events that we do, and these youngsters are so proud to participate, and it's really something beautiful. But something that I want to mention, when we do the larger events like what Todd was talking about for Vietnam Veterans Day, our Welcome Home event, or some other events, we get an outpouring of support from the midshipmen and from the young military from Fort Meade. And I mean, I think there was maybe 80 participants from both military organizations, from midshipmen and also from Fort Meade, who participated in a large group honor salute for all the veterans at that event. And it really is amazing to see and participate in that.
I would say also it's just being open to opportunity. We partnered with several local area assisted living facilities during the month of November to do group honor salutes for their residents. And at one of them, the facility wanted to get a local youth group involved. And she had invited the young Marines of Annapolis, and I think the oldest was probably 12. And they acted as the color guard for the program and brought in the flags and did the Pledge of Allegiance. And that's not something we had done before, you know? So I think just being open and flexible will help to get that generational component.
So questions, thoughts?
I have one question. One question was, are the veterans that go to the schools, are they your patients or are they your veteran volunteers?
They are our veteran volunteers.
And active duty.
Yes.
And active duty.
Thank you for that question. Catherine, is there anything else that you wanted us to touch on?
I think you all really covered it very well. Again, I just wanted to reiterate how what seems like such a small or, you know, perhaps insignificant touch, like how meaningful that can be to certain events. You know, one of my favorite things that I share with people, for example, from participating and being able to attend your Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans Day celebration, is the table of handwritten cards from children just saying thank you. Like what a great touch that is, and it's something that most people wouldn't even consider. But seeing the faces of veterans who do see those and do read those, you really can tell just what an important little detail in addition to an already, you know, significant and somewhat emotional day that can be. So I think it really is important to recognize how those small touches can make such a big difference, and really to try to bring as much as you can into your events. And again, as you were mentioning, educating the younger audiences, you know, it really is a learning opportunity and a wonderful learning experience that many students wouldn't otherwise have. So it really is a gift in that sense as well.
Thank you. One thing to add to this that came up recently with our Veterans Day reading to the kids was the 15 Things Veterans Want You to Know from Psych Armor. The education session and webinar for that really came in handy because we had actually one of the teachers say something that was bordering on inappropriate for one of the veterans to touch on in front of the class of students about whether he had been bombed, and asking those sorts of questions and if you've killed someone and those sorts of things. Really educating the teachers first and foremost about what's appropriate to say and what's not appropriate to say to support them with this. So somebody's asking where is the resource for the 15 things, and that's on NHPCO. Catherine, did you want to touch on that?
Yeah, that is actually on the We Honor Veterans website. If you Google Psych Armor, it is also under the Psych Armor resources. So many of our partners may not realize we actually have a We Honor Veterans landing page with Psych Armor. So if you go there, and we're happy to share the link in the webinar recording notes after today, but there is a link that will take you to Psych Armor's page, and we have worked with them and selected courses that would specifically be helpful to We Honor Veterans partners. So it is available on Psych Armor. All of Psych Armor's courses and resources are free. All you have to do is sign up, just register with your email. But again, we're happy to share that link after the call.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you again. Okay, so if there were no other questions, I did want to go ahead. Again, we are very thankful to have with us the United States of America Vietnam War Commemoration folks joining us on the phone today to speak about some of their resources and how you can get involved and become a member organization. So without further ado, I want to turn the microphone over to them. And just so they know, they had a little bit of trouble getting on virtually, so I'll be clicking through the slides, but they are up right now.
Well, thanks for letting us be here. My name is Jim Jackson. I'm the director of the commemoration here in Washington, and very, very pleased to be able to speak to you, and thanks for the offer. We are very familiar with the Hospice of the Chesapeake. We've worked with them before, and we have 81 hospices across the country working with us right now. But in listening to just a little bit of what you all been saying, there's many, many more we ought to be working with, because what we can do is enhance your event by providing you things, and everything we provide in the way of materials comes at no cost. All we ask is that you tell us what you want to do with them, and we'll ship them directly to you. If you go to the first slide, please.
Yep.
It's working. There we go. As with every military organization, we have a mission statement, but if you take a look at this, you see we were established by Congress under George Bush and came to life under President Obama. First event was done on Memorial Day 2012. We're currently set up to operate until 2025, and unless that changes, that's exactly what we'll do. We belong to the Department of Defense, and I am fully funded by them to do the work that we're doing. The second part of that slide is our mission statement. The one part that I would like to call out is that in my mission statement, I don't necessarily do events. What we do is try to find others, like the hospice organizations across the country, who are already doing events, and have them get in touch with us, find out what they want from us, and then we can provide them that material for free. More about that here in a little bit, but you see we're trying to reach out to all those who served during the time period of Vietnam, 1 November 55 to 15 May 75. That includes a large number of people. 9 million served during that time period, 3 million in country, and the rest someplace else. We also are focused on inclusion of the families, to include former POWs and the families of our missing, of which from Vietnam we're just slightly under 1,600 right now, and so that's a day-to-day operation. Next slide, please. As mentioned, well, based on Department of VA information, we believe there's about 6.8 million living veterans who served during that time period from the original 9 million. And of course, you've got 9 million families that are still connected somehow. Now, interesting to note, VA tells us that we're losing these veterans at a rate at over 520 a day. That's a day. Multiply it out, and over a couple of years, you'll find out that it falls into the millions. And so it makes our efforts even more important to try and reach these people before they pass away. We do have a commemorative partnering program, and that's the way you get materials from us. Yvonne will talk more about that in a little bit. But again, I'll reiterate, all the materials we provide come to you free of charge. So far, we've got a little over 11,000 partners that are working with us across the nation. And so far, they've supported, or they've actually conducted in excess of 15,000 events of which we've supported. Sometimes we'll just provide materials. Other times we can actually put people on the ground to speak. And in fact, I have spoken at a Hospice of Chesapeake event up in Maryland here a year or so ago. Now, interesting to note, we've established a focus for 2019, and we picked the opportunity or the requirement to try and find ways to hunt down and find and recognize the hard-to-find veterans, those who were institutionalized in care facilities, homebound, et cetera. And that's why your organizations are so vitally important to us, because that's where you operate. And what we want is the opportunity to make your event just a little bit better by providing something from the country and help to deliver the gratitude of the nation to these people who were not well thanked when they came home. Next slide, and I'll be passing to Yvonne.
Thank you. My name is Yvonne Schills. I'm the Commemorative Partner Program Chief, and we wanted to give an opportunity to talk about some practical things that your organizations might be able to do. The briefings that Todd and Mary gave fit very nicely with what we do here, and if you're doing things that they're doing, I think your program will benefit by having a partnership with us. As the general mentioned, there were over 9 million that served during the period of the Vietnam War worldwide, and so we believe that there's about 6.8 million still living. So how do you honor 6.8 million people? Well, you have to set up a program of partnerships like you have around the world, actually, to find these veterans. And that's what we did. And it's called the Commemorative Partner Program. It's organizationally based, hometown-centric. We ask these organizations in these hometowns to thank and honor Vietnam veterans and their families where they work and live. We do have over 11,400 partners, of which we have 81 hospices around the country that have signed up, thanks to the National Association of Hospice and Palliative Care. Their efforts a couple years ago through a phone call, a national phone call with the VA, actually generated a lot of those interests with the hospices. So we do encourage many of the hospices and care organizations, as well as facilities that mortuaries and also our cemeteries are also partners that help deal with the families and honor those family members after the veteran has passed. You can apply online at VietnamWar50th.com, and that'll be on the last slide in case you want that website. But you can apply online. It's free of charge, is the partnership. We just ask that you are an organization and provide 3 names as points of contact, one of whom will be your chairperson. Once you're approved as a partner, we're going to send you out a starter kit, which includes a 3x5 flag that can be used during your events or even on a one-on-one situation. We ask that you do include the flag and also have display the certificate designating your organization as a partnership. It is signed by the Secretary of Defense and the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs. We also include 2 large presidential proclamations for you to display, one from President Obama, one from President Trump. We also have many other materials that you can use, including buttons for family members, bumper stickers, all kinds of things, posters of a variety of series of posters that you can use. And they're all free for your use and shipped to you free of charge. The event that we ask every partner, we ask a commitment from you, and that is to do 2 events for each year for a 3-year period. And what do we mean by events? Well, it can be something like the coffees that Todd talked about. It can be something like the school thing that Mary talked about. It can be something as simple as presenting the veteran lapel pin to a veteran. It can be 1, it can be 500 veterans, but we want you to at least do those 2 each year. And if you do something on Memorial Day and Veterans Day, you're pretty much covered on that. Next slide, please. This is our commemorative partner seal that you're authorized to use as a partner. You can put it on programs. You can do whatever you'd like with that as long as it's not connected to a fundraising event. And so you will have access to that seal. And on the right, that's what our flag looks like. I'm sorry, it's a veteran pin here that's on the screen. We'll get to the seal here in a moment, but the veteran pin that you'll present looks like that, and it's on the front and back side. We have a fact sheet that describes the elements of the pin, but the most important part is what's on the back. And there's a message there that says, "A grateful nation thanks and honors you." And we want to make sure that you do point that out to the veteran before you pin it over their heart, that it is a message from the country when you present this pin to them. When you are a partner, you are acting on behalf of a grateful nation, and that's why we use the words, "On behalf of a grateful nation, thank you for your service and sacrifice" when you present the pin. Again, the eligibility for the pin is for any veteran that served on active duty in the U.S. Armed Forces between 1 November 55 to 15 May 75, regardless of their location of service. In other words, they didn't have to be in Vietnam or in theater, or they could have served in Korea or Europe or the United States. But as long as they were in that time frame on active duty, they're eligible to receive this pin. Next slide, please. We have a Certificate of Honor program where we present certificates to 4 very special groups. The first one being the immediate family members of those listed on the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C., and whose remains came home. If you have visual, you can see the pin in the upper right-hand corner. They're a little bit more than the size of a quarter, and this particular one has a gold star in the middle of it. The second group of people that we recognize are the immediate family members of those who are still listed as missing in action and unaccounted for from the Vietnam War. As the General mentioned, there's right now about 1,592 families still waiting for the fullest possible accounting of their loved one from Vietnam and Southeast Asia. And so we honor the immediate family members of those veterans. They happen to also be listed on the Vietnam Veterans Memorial if you weren't aware of that. Who do we mean by immediate family? We're talking about parents. If you think of a cross, parents, spouse, siblings, and children of those veterans that are still listed as missing in action. And we do have a listing of all those that we've presented certificates to, so we can tell you whether or not that family's been honored. The third group is the living former American military POWs. That's the third pin, that if you have visual, that you'll see on the slide there. They also received the veterans pin, and there's a package of materials that we send for each POW, former POW. We have already honored 444 of the 662 that returned home alive. Obviously, some have deceased now, but we do honor their surviving spouse with the pin as well. And finally, the surviving spouse pin, which is on the bottom of the screen there. It has a blue star in the middle of it. If the surviving spouse of a veteran at the time of death can be presented a certificate of honor and this lapel pin by our partners. It's the only certificate that you can do yourselves. It's actually pre-done on the website, and you can download it, put the name in, and it centers it for you, and then you date it. It's already pre-signed by our director. The other 3 certificates are signed by the Secretary of Defense and the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, and we work those with you directly online as a partner, and ship those free of charge to you for presentation. We do still have parents of Vietnam veterans, and they may be in your care facilities. We will turn a request for a parent of a Vietnam veteran who was listed on the Vietnam Veterans Memorial or is unaccounted for. We'll turn that in 24 hours for you. So again, it fits in well with Todd's program where they recognize Gold Star family members, and Mary's program mentioning when she mentioned about grandparents, and in some cases great-grandparents if they're that young in elementary school, certainly all through college level. We are there to support you if you have programs for the younger generation. The General always talks about the generational connections that we have, and so we're working with our partners to continue that generational recognition. Next slide, please. Okay, I think we're going to turn it over to you, General.
Yeah, this slide, if it comes up. Do you all see the picture of the United States?
Yes, we do.
Oh, okay. What this slide will depict for you is that this truly is a national and in some cases an international program. We actually have veterans who reside in Germany, Korea, and Japan. And if they have organizations over there that have joined up with us, we support them also. And so we do have some international flavor. But what this is a 2-week snapshot picture of events that are going on across the country. Every 2 weeks, this map changes. And so what I'm trying to show here is that this is, in fact, a national effort. Events going on all across the country. Every 2 weeks, they're in different places. And if the map, we're supporting them somehow. So it gives you an understanding that we do go from coast to coast, include Hawaii, Alaska, and all our 6 territories also, along with the organizations overseas. Next slide, please. Yvonne.
Thank you, sir. So how can you help assist a grateful nation? Well, become a commemorative partner. Again, we send you all the materials free of charge. The materials are free, and the partnership is free. And we have a lot of items to offer you. We just can't show them all on the slide. Again, the applications are at VietnamWar50th.com. We'd like to have you engage with other partner organizations in your community. There is a partner map available on the website to show you who those are, who those 11,400 partners are. If you work together with another partner, you can get credit for an event as well. So partners working together are encouraged. And then we want you to encourage other organizations in your communities that you work with to become partners as well. Maybe those are private or state cemeteries, funeral homes, local veteran service organizations, and other care facilities. Please share the national mission that we have to thank and honor Vietnam veterans and their families within each of your own networks. We have a strategy and engagement branch that can provide you with free media kits and articles for publication in your local newspapers or local television stations and radio stations. We also have a teacher's toolkit for teachers to use in their classrooms that may tie in with efforts that Mary talked about in these reaching out to the younger generation. We've listed some key dates there for you to think about. We know you probably do most of those anyway. But we have certain key dates that we have in our cycle that we focus on. And then just a final thought, just the presentation of a Vietnam Veteran lapel pin or a certificate of honor is a very powerful event for the veteran and for the family. For many, it's the first time they've ever been thanked for their service. So you can imagine the emotion behind that. And for some, it's a sense of closure or a cathartic experience for them. We do provide guidelines on how to present the pins and the certificates for you. So we thank you for your time, and we look forward to any questions you might have.
Wow, well, what a wonderful presentation, just chock full of information. We really are so thankful that you all were able to join us. We did have one question from a partner. Are funeral homes able to participate as an organization?
Yes, in fact, we've already had outreach to the National Association of Funeral Homes, Funeral Directors, and Morticians. If I'm not getting that title right, please let me know. And there's actually 2 other associations that we work with. So yes, we do encourage working with them and having them become partners, mainly because of the Surviving Spouse program. And presenting at the appropriate time a certificate of honor to the surviving spouse and the lapel pin that goes with it.
Wonderful. Well, thank you again. Again, if any folks have any other questions, feel free to enter them in the chat box, and we will get back with you or email us. We will be in contact with the staff, and we're happy to connect you, help answer any questions, and make sure that you get signed up and start participating as an organization. So again, thank you all so much for joining us and for being a part of our call today. And we'll be reaching out to you with any follow-up questions as well.
Thank you.
Okay, well, we're right at 3:15. Just wanted to give a quick note before I introduce our dear friend, Dr. Scott Shreve from the Department of Veterans Affairs. We were honored, he as well as his boss, Dr. Tom Eads, who's the Director of Comprehensive Geriatrics and Palliative Care within the VA, as well as Ryan Weller, a social worker and who is also chair of the Hospice Veteran Partnership in the Portland, Oregon area. We were very lucky to be joined by them last week in the NHPCO offices for some strategic planning surrounding We Honor Veterans and some really good discussions. A few things that did come out of that I did want to just make our partners known. NHPCO CEO Ido Bannock sat down with both Dr. Tom Eads and Dr. Scott Shreve for a podcast, speaking about the important role that hospice and palliative care plays, how the We Honor Veterans program began, and much more fun stuff. So that is actually up on the NHPCO podcast page. Emma's posting that in the chat box as well. Aside from that, I sat down with Ryan Weller and sort of picked his brain about his journey to become a social worker. So Em will also be sharing the page that we have available on our StoryCorps landing page. So a friendly reminder to those of you out there, if you want to become involved in recording audio stories, have any questions about that, we do have a We Honor Veterans specific StoryCorps page. We'll be happy to walk you through that. It's super easy. You can do it from your smartphone or any other mobile device, or you can do it from your laptop. So the recording, my interview with Ryan Weller, titled A Social Worker's Journey to Serving America's Heroes, is up on StoryCorps as of a few minutes ago. So Emma's sharing that link as well, and we'll include that in the call notes. But without further ado, I did want to give some time to Scott. Any sort of end of the year musings, things that he's looking forward to in 2019, or just anything that he wanted to share with us today.
Oh, wow. Thanks very much, Catherine. It was a very productive and just enthusiastic and engaging strategic planning meeting last week. And believe me, I don't say that about every strategic planning meeting. So there was just a lot of energy in the room and it all moving forward to improve the care of veterans. I just want to put a kind of a quick shout out to the level 5s. Wow, thank you. Coming together to honor and care and improve the care of veterans at the end of life. I can't think of a more noble cause, so thank you for that. And as a piece of that, Catherine mentioned the survey. I just want to let you know I'm the person that will be responsible really for reporting back to Congress on how are we improving the care of Vietnam era veterans. And that survey has some very specific questions in there. So I greatly appreciate whatever information you can provide on kind of where your status is now. And we'd like to show improvement over the next year or 2 or 3. So we want to keep moving forward there. What I thought I'd do is just give you a few little kind of capsules, if you will, of a project or initiative moving forward, and kind of apropos to the Vietnam War commemorative presentation that our program office is moving forward with the improving the care of Vietnam era veterans that are on hospice. I'm going to let you know we've already begun the analytical piece of that, looking at over 50,000 completed bereaved family surveys of family members of Vietnam era veterans that died in VA facilities. So we have a big database to look at, and already are some eye-opening information that will have us digging deeper on that, and we'll be reporting that back to you as we make it available or have it available and do a lot more of the statistics and regression analyses. The second one that's probably the most exciting, right after this call, I get on another call with a curriculum development work group. And we have 3 work groups, and I'll just share with you that I put out word to various leaders in VA central office behavioral health, whole health, social work, the National Center for PTSD, the National Center on Suicide Prevention, and I was just overwhelmed with people that wanted to develop 3 Train the Trainer modules to improve the care of Vietnam-era veterans getting hospice. And this is taking VA's best subject matter experts, bringing them together and focusing a Train the Trainer module specifically for hospice teams. And just a reminder, 97% of veterans that die in America die outside of VA facilities. So you are critical. And pretty much you may have heard another statistic, but I just want to have it ring home. Out of the 20 veterans that are committing suicide each day, 14 of them don't receive care and have never enrolled in the VA healthcare system. I believe many of the veterans you're caring for on hospice that may actually be at risk for suicide have never touched the VA system. And so we want to spread as much expertise that we are really learning. Suicide prevention is a top priority for the Department of Veterans Affairs. So thank you, and we'll be rolling those curricula out probably in the April, May, June timeframe, and really thankful for working with Catherine and NHPCO. There'll probably be national webinars. We'll be doing it locally through our We Honor Veterans program. And then the last, well, I guess not the last piece of this, but Catherine mentioned the focus groups. But I just want to plant a vision for you and welcome questions or comments about it. I work in an inpatient hospice unit and have nursing staff right there with me. I get to see patients on a regular basis. I can't imagine caring for veterans in the home and just the amount of care that a spouse or family is providing, and then being supported by a community hospice program. And think if we could add to that, that if there was a veteran who was experiencing PTSD symptoms, that you could bring up their internet or their iPhone and have a psychologist from the VA available for consultation in the home. And this would have to be for an enrolled veteran, but that you could have that expertise right there helping you in various techniques on how to care for that veteran and deal with those disturbing symptoms. Anyway, it's a vision that I have. It seems to be received warmly from other venues, but I welcome your feedback on this call or otherwise to the We Honor Veterans program. We really want to try to take advantage of every resource available to care for Vietnam era veterans at end of life. And then just in closing, I wanted to share, I can't resist with the veteran coffees that were presented here. Wow, what an overwhelming program. I listen in and participate on some of these networking calls, and as a result of last quarter's call, they presented veteran cafes. So I talked with our hospice team, and we decided to do a veterans cafe on our hospice unit. We invited veterans, younger veterans who are going through the substance use disorder program here, and about a dozen of them came up to a hospice unit and met with some older veterans at the end of life, and it just clicked. I just want to share with you, you can't imagine the stories that started to be shared and the kind of the camaraderie and the connections that were made, and so I couldn't imagine it being more successful, and I would be a strong advocate for bringing veterans together in an informal, unstructured way, and you'll be amazed at the friendships and relationships that will be built. So really, that, Catherine, if that helps to get you back on schedule, they were kind of my big items, and thank you for the strategic meeting. I think we accomplished a lot.
Yeah, thank you again, Scott. It was definitely a fruitful day, and it has only further energized us. And I can't say how much we're looking forward to what's going to happen in 2019. I'm excited to say we've already had emails coming in about hospices volunteering, saying that they would love to participate in any focus groups and help in any way they can. So we really do appreciate that. Again, keep them coming. If you want to participate, please let us know. We really are asking for your support, and we'll need all the help that we can get. So we definitely appreciate that. Let's see. We don't have any questions for Dr. Shreve. One person just asked to repeat the statistics, but we'll be sharing those in the post-call notes, so we can go back through those. But if there's anything else that anyone wanted to share or ask, now is the time. We do still have, well, we're almost at the end of our call, but we do still have a few more minutes. So if there is anything, please feel free to share.
Yeah, and I'll just fill in the gap here, Catherine, that the VA Mission Act, which was passed by Congress, really broke down a significant barrier to the provision of telehealth for VA staff. And what it did is, as I understand it, I'm not an attorney, but it used the Federal Supremacy Clause to allow VA staff members to provide telehealth across state lines. And so you can imagine in some of the VA medical centers that are at intersecting states and on those state borders there, that now this isn't as big an issue. In fact, it really, I have not fully digested and figured out how we can best take advantage of it, in the sense that we really could have people across the country providing telehealth support to community hospice programs for veterans in their homes. And so that really, Congress is giving us some of the tools and opening some of the doors to allow us to expand this access to virtual care. And boy, why not take advantage of the subject matter experts that work within VA? So anyway, just to let you know, there's a lot of stars aligned for us to move forward in that way.
Okay, well, if there are no further questions, comments, musings, anything from the audience, we do just want to send a big shout out and say thank you again to Trellis, to Hospice of the Chesapeake, to the Vietnam Veterans Commemorative Group for sharing all of these resources and tips. Again, we've had a few questions come in. This call is being recorded right now and will be put up on the We Honor Veterans website in case you want to re-listen to something, in case one of your coworkers may have missed it. It will be posted on the We Honor Veterans website, hopefully by the end of the week. And again, just a quick reminder that our offices will be closing. So if you are submitting any partner activity reports or just have any programmatic questions, it may take us some time to get back to you. We will be reopening the offices on January 2nd. However, if something does come up, please email myself or the Veterans Inbox and let us know that it is urgent. We will be monitoring that, so we definitely don't want to miss anything if anything does come up that needs our attention. So please feel free to reach out. But other than that, I wanna thank you all again. Friendly poke again, please fill out the partner survey if you have a chance. It really is a big help to us all. But other than that, thank you again for taking the time to spend your afternoon with us. We hope that it was helpful. And we are, from the bottom of our hearts, wishing you all a wonderful holiday season. And thank you for a wonderful 2018. And we are ready to hit the ground running in 2019 and can't wait to see what it brings. So thank you to you all and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.